What's up? Peace and love. Woo. Welcome back. So today, this one, wow. I don't consider myself an activist to any means, and so I don't like to harp on the witnesses and make videos constantly about the witnesses. And I like to just talk about my view on life and my experience. But this one today, I am talking about. When it comes to alcohol, it's a sensitive thing to me. It's a sensitive topic. I've had a lot of alcoholism in my family. My wife's had alcoholism in her family, and it's affected both of us. I've had my own personal struggles at times with alcohol. So it's a sensitive topic to me. So you can imagine my reaction this morning when I watched a video of Tony Morris, the Jehovah's Witness governing body member Tony Morris, waddling around a liquor store on Sunday morning in New Jersey with about 8 bottles of whiskey in a buggy. Now, we all know there's two types of people that go to the liquor store. There's people who go in there and need a buggy, and there's people that don't. This guy needed a buggy for his booze. I'm going to include the link to the video from Lloyd Evans that has the footage so you can see it with your own eyes, hear with your own ears, of the almighty Tony Morris wandering around this liquor store, picking out the most expensive bottles of whiskey that he could find. You know, so I was shocked when I saw this video. Just shocked, because for me, first of all, when I was growing up, one of the number one things that we got in trouble for was drinking. And they'd bring you into the room and talk to you about how dangerous it is. And the ironic part about this is tons and tons of witnesses are alcoholics. And that's just the reality of it from my experience. And people can jump in the comments and talk whatever nonsense they want, but the reality is many, many, many witnesses are alcoholics. I know this for a fact. So when I first saw this video, of course, the hypocrisy just comes to mind. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And not only is he waddling around in a liquor store at 11 in the morning with about 8 bottles of whiskey in his buggy, but he's rocking a trench coat and a cap. He looks like a bandit. He looks like a bank robber from the 50s. So it's funny, you know. And at the end of the day, if you don't know nothing about the witnesses, or you're just a random passerby who watches the channel, you may be thinking, what's wrong with the old guy at the liquor store on Sunday morning with about 8 bottles of whiskey? And there's nothing wrong with that. You want to drink? Get drunk. That's all good. But what is wrong with Tony Morris being in the liquor store on Sunday morning while all the other witnesses are at the meeting with a buggy full of booze is he's a freaking hypocrite. Especially in memorial season. That's the best part. You see, the last time the witnesses came over to my house, things turned into a big-ass brouhaha. I got the elder screaming at me and yelling at me, and then he runs off, and the other guy wants to stay and keep arguing, but the elder says, I'm driving, so if you want to stay, then... And so they leave in a huff. And so as they're leaving, I said, listen, because typically I'd say, hey, you want to come to my door and talk? We could talk. I'm not scared to talk, you know, as long as it's respectful. But of course, it can't stay respectful. And so I said, you know what? Enough of this. Let's not do this anymore, you know? And so it was ironic the other day when I go to check the mail and there's the little flyer for the memorial, the most important time of year for witnesses, right? When Jesus' sacrifice is memorialized, right? But of course, they're too scared to knock because they know we're not going for this again. So they just put it in the mailbox. So in this memorial season, it is ironic that we have this video come out. It's hilarious. And aside from my initial shock of seeing this, what it made me think about is the important ramifications of their judgmental behavior, the ramifications that those have had on everyday people. And it made me think of this court case that we just had here in Canada a few months ago, the Highwood, Alberta court case. And if you don't know anything about this court case, this is the case of a gentleman, I think he was a real estate agent from a place called Highwood, and he was having issues, I believe, with his daughter. She's a teenager, and I think the elders wanted him to kick her out or something like that. I don't know all the details of it, so I'm not going to go too deep. But long story short, he ends up resorting to drinking. He's drinking a couple beers a night to try to deal with the situation. He's stressed, and so he gets dragged into the back room, and they decide to judge him, and they decide to disfellowship him, which means ruining his life, pretty much destroying his business because all of his clients are witnesses, and this is their way of dealing with him. You know, of course, typical. And so he decides this is ridiculous. So he gets his lawyer involved. He tries to basically get the courts to say that this judgment that he received was an illegitimate judgment and that he deserves to continue to be a witness. which is ironic that people still want to do this, even considering the amount of hypocrisy that's going on. But this is his situation. So he takes this court case all the way to the Supreme Court. And of course, me, I end up sitting there on CPAC watching all, 14 hours of the case. And it was amazing listening to the lawyer for the Watchtower. He is a liar and a coward. And he needs to be called that, because he stood there and lied through his teeth. He was blowing so much smoke out of his ass, it was worse than a caboose. This guy did a number. And of course, it worked. And they uphold the judgment, and that guy gets kicked out, all because he was resorting to drinking to deal with his issues. And who's the head honcho of this corporation that was basically behind the thinking that made this decision that ruined this guy's life? Tony Morris. Good old two-tone Tony Morris. And this is the guy, this slick SOB is the guy who was at the liquor store at 11:30 in the morning loading up the buggy with whiskey. It's just unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. I'm still shocked. I can't believe what I saw. I cannot believe that after all of the judgmental comments that these men make, the extreme comments. I mean, they want to argue, oh, we're not extreme. They say extreme things, hurtful things. The September broadcast talks about that you see the guy with the misshaped glass, and he smashes the glass on the stage and then says that, this is what Jehovah does to people who sin against the Spirit. He discards them like a smashed glass. And yet, after it's all said and done, you guys are putting back Jameson's. It's not even Jameson's, let me tell you. Watch the video. This is high-end whiskey. I don't even know about this level of whiskey. I don't drink whiskey like that. But I just thought, I have to talk about this. I wanted to make a video and talk about the memorial season in general, and just looking at that, looking at the history of it, my family history of it. For me, that was when I was growing up, that was the time of year. My great-grandfather was considered to be anointed, whatever that means. And we would literally, he was at our old folks home, we would go to the old folks home and do the memorial there at the old folks home with the wine and bread. And then we would go back to our congregation, do the memorial. I remember sometimes going to 3 or 4 memorials in one day, because that's just what it was. That was our family. And so it's just so ironic, and it just, it makes you realize in this day and age, what's done in the dark will be brought to the light. And again, we can go and say, there's really nothing wrong with a person loading up the buggy with whiskey. There's not. I'm not here to judge him for that. It's not my job. If someone wants to drink, drink. Get your drink on. But what I am here to judge is the way that he manipulates and takes advantage of his position to dictate how other people think, how other people act, what other people do. And it's disgusting. I mean, if the average witness was seen in the liquor store at 11:30 in the morning on a Sunday, on a meeting day, loading up the buggy full of whiskey, potentially this person could get dragged into the back and be judged by the judges, and it's a full load of BS and hypocrisy. And I have to talk about this, because in this day and age, as I said, what you do will be seen, will be heard, what you say will be used against you. And I'm using all the bullshit that those guys have said to everybody over the years in these broadcasts, bringing people down, talking down to people, judging people. And I'm here to say that that's a full load. They're hypocrites. They're the ultimate hypocrites. And it's sad, because people like me have family. My mother's there, people that I care about, people that I love. And again, I'm not an activist by any means, sitting here trying to tell people they shouldn't be witnesses or whatever. That's not my job. I believe in freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of life. Be free. If you want to be a witness, be a witness. If you don't, don't. But what you shouldn't be is manipulated, coerced, and judged for your personal beliefs, the way you think. And my hope is that today, with this video coming out, that people are going to have to get honest about their religion. People are going to have to get honest about the leadership, and hopefully it'll wake some people up to see that, the things this guy says in his talks and the way that he comes down on people, he's really just a babbling old drunk. That's what it's looking like. I mean, there's no saying necessarily that he's going to drink all 8 bottles. I mean, maybe he just bought a bunch of gifts. It's highly doubtful. Maybe he just collects whiskey and he just wants to have them up on the shelf. Highly unlikely, right? Maybe they're for his wife. Maybe his wife is a drinker, right? Doubtful. But we got to give the benefit of the doubt. And again, like I said, I'm not here to judge somebody's personal behavior or choices, but don't be coming down on the whole world, right? And then saying that you're persecuted. That we're persecuted. Oh, we're persecuted. The brothers in Armenia, they're persecuted, persecuted, persecuted. Meanwhile, people like this guy in Highwood's life has been destroyed because he chose to use alcohol to deal with his issues. And yet it appears that the governing body members are putting back whiskeys on Sunday. maybe even Sunday morning. So at the end of the day, like I said, for me, alcohol is it's a sensitive topic, because I honestly believe that there's a lot of damage to be done with alcohol. And the funny part about this is, you know, marijuana is legal right now. So imagine if this guy was busted at a dispensary, you know, or imagine if a witness was caught at a dispensary, what kind of trouble they would get into, you know. But really, there's no difference legally speaking anymore, you know. So I think when it comes to alcohol, there's a lot of pain and turmoil caused by it, and you see this within the ranks of the witnesses. I know plenty of witnesses that are alcoholics, and you know, it often comes down to who you are and who you know, if you don't get in trouble for it, you know, or if you drink in the right circles of people. I remember growing up, there was known bars that the witnesses would go to, known establishments that they knew, okay, this is a witness bar, you know. And it just kind of speaks to a level of hypocrisy that we see, and it's not just the witnesses, it's many religions that carry on with this hypocrisy. And anybody who follows my channel knows that I'm a big believer in the kingdom comes in you, God is in you, personal development of your own spirituality, so that no one is over you, no one is judging you, no one is telling you that you're not worthy, because we're all worthy. So there's a serious level to this. It's pretty funny too. I mean, we got this is hilarious. You have to watch the video. This guy looks like Inspector Gadget in the liquor store at 11:30 in the morning. I'm going to link it, and I'm also going to link some information about the Highwood, Alberta case, because somebody's life was seriously affected, and in my opinion, based on this video, they should rescind his disfellowshipping. They should make a public apology, because it's shameful the way that they come down on people, and that lawyer should be dragged in front of the public and shown for the hypocrite and liar that he is. And that's just the reality of it. So, like I said, I'm not going to always dive into these sort of religious issues, because that's not what this channel is about. But this one today, this one here, I had to touch this one. I couldn't leave this one alone. So, this is what it is for today. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, check out the video, watch this. It's hilarious. That's what it is. Peace. I'm out.